Hey, what's up, guys? Node Investor here. I want to bring you some thoughts on how I am preparing for the upcoming hard fork here in this final day of trading before August 1st. A lot of speculation around what's going to happen. I just want to give you my thoughts, how I'm going to prepare and react to the markets, and see where things go from here. But just looking at the charts here, total market cap has been in this little range between 85, 86 billion and 90, and we're just kind of bouncing around for the last week or so. Haven't really seen a whole lot to the up or the downside. There's been some pretty volatile moves in a tight range, though. You're seeing Ethereum bounce around. You're seeing some of the altcoins make big pops and then sell off. And so right now, everyone's watching Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to take the lead. It's going to kind of set the tone to see what happens following the fork on August. And I think it's going to shake out over a couple of days. It's not going to be a one-day event. It's going to really be the trigger that may lead to a different change in a trend here. So let's look at the charts. So Bitcoin, here's the daily chart. And you can see here, since the peak we reached back in early July or early June, we've had the big sell-off, we've popped, and now we're putting in this little tight consolidation. They try to sell it off a couple of times, found some support around this key area that I have been pointing out around 2,400. So far, that's held, and that's a very positive sign. I like the volume we saw coming off the lows here, but no doubt there was a lot of selling, as expected, around the old highs, right? The old highs were right in here, and it's not unusual to see some selling and pulling back at that point, because that was really the old resistance level. We're testing it now, and that's going to be the key. Can we break above those old highs? And will there be volume and conviction behind the move? And so there's a couple of different scenarios that could happen here, right? This is potentially setting up a very nice base on the daily chart. So if you zoom out a little bit here, you can see this nice base that's starting to form in Bitcoin, where it's kind of pulled in. It had the sharp rally, and now it's kind of putting in a little consolidation, almost like a little handle here. And that's going to be the test, right? If we pop above this, is there volume? At that point, it's going to be all-time highs if we can break above basically 3,000, right? If we get above this 3,000 point, you're going to be at all-time highs on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, surprisingly, it's the big one, the big mega cap cryptocurrency, and it's one of the few that are nearing all-time highs. Most of the other altcoins have had sharp declines. They're well off their highs. Ethereum, for example, nowhere near the old high of $400. And so it's going to be interesting to see. It's like a lot of capital and money is moving back into Bitcoin right now. I think a lot of people are buying Bitcoin, one, to protect themselves, because Bitcoin's a little bit less beta, if you will. It's if Bitcoin goes down 10%, the altcoins are going to go down much more. And two, I think just the anticipation of the fork. Everybody wants to get that free coin, right? So they want to own some Bitcoin. And so you're seeing a little bit of those two things in play here. I think if we can break above this, it's going to be a very strong move to the upside. Exception would be if we have a little bit of a head fake, a bull trap as they call it. And so you're going to want to see some confirmation. You're going to want to see volume, right? So one thing that could happen, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but could happen, is we break above, everybody buys in, everybody thinks, hey, we're in the clear, and then we have a big sell-off. That's very possible. Not unusual to see markets do that, kind of have that little head fake. Everyone's expecting it to go up, and then it just tanks a couple of days later. So you're going to want to see some follow-through on the move if we break above 3,000. Or you can see the exact opposite, right? You can see, hey, here's the fork. Everybody's scared. They dump. Maybe it goes down to 2,400, 2,200, and then we just start to rally from there. So there's two scenarios, and honestly, anything can happen at this point. There's just really no way to tell with these charts what the market wants to do here. Things are just sitting tight, and they're just waiting for the next couple of trading days to unfold. And so those are my thoughts. What am I doing personally? I am holding my Bitcoin, and I'm going to just keep a portion of my core holdings in Bitcoin, and I have been for pretty much since this little bottom part here, and I'm going to wait it out. And so I'm going to keep my core holdings, my core Bitcoin holdings offline, off exchanges, on a hardware wallet Trezor, for example, has already come out and stated that they will support the fork. And so, I'll have some BCC or whatever they end up naming the ticker for Bitcoin Cash afterwards. And I'm not going to dump my Bitcoin Cash, mostly because I think everyone's going to get their Bitcoin Cash and try to dump it. So you're going to probably see the price collapse here in the near term and then maybe settle out or pop back up. Who knows? So I'm just going to let it sit there. It's, in my opinion, it's just kind of free coin that I didn't purchase anyway, so no big deal. I'm going to focus mostly on Bitcoin and some of the altcoins I'm watching, and I'm going to kind of just disregard the Bitcoin Cash for a little bit, see what prices do, and let them stable out. And so that's my plan. I'm going to remain nimble. I'm going to keep a small portion of my total portfolio spread across a number of different exchanges. And that's just to do some trading and take advantage of some of the volatility. Maybe we'll see some spike lows on some of the altcoins. I'll try to pick some up there, and we'll see where that goes. Anything can happen. There's just a lot of volatility. There's potential counterparty risk, right? Exchanges freezing up, maybe not having access to your funds. Coinbase is already talking about delayed transactions. We saw the craziness coming out of BTCE. There's hacks. So, there's just that counterparty risk that always exists in the cryptocurrency space, which is why I don't ever use just a single exchange or a single wallet or anything. I try to spread it out a little bit. So those are my thoughts. Those are my plans kind of going into this next trading day / next week. And it should be an interesting week, no doubt. So let's look at some of the other charts to see what my thoughts are. Ethereum, let me go down to Ethereum here. So looking at Ethereum, this is the longer term daily chart. Overall, the chart's bearish still. Yeah, we had this big bottom that was put in, and that's a very nice bottom putting in here. You see the volume coming in at the lows. That's exactly what you want to see. But there was a lot of selling right here as we approach this moving average, and basically comes out to the the 230 to 240 range, and that's been a major area of resistance on Ethereum. So until it gets above that or really starts to change the tone, I'm not going to be real bullish on Ethereum right now. You want this recent low around 190, 180 or so to really hold. That's a key level of support in the near term. And so you don't want to see it close below that. If it does, that's just going to be a bad sign. Most likely we'll end up testing lows again if we do. And so we're at a little critical point for Ethereum. It's bouncing off the shorter term moving average. The two shorter term and intermediate are trending down. So the bear case is stacking up against Ethereum. If we zoom in a little bit, look at the 4-hour chart. We had this big rally here yesterday. That's a good sign. And so that kind of just, it looked like Ethereum was about to break down and maybe was a little bit of a bear trap, and then we popped. But there's really not a lot of follow through. We're pretty much just bouncing into the moving average, and now it's selling off. So you're going to want to see your Ethereum pop here. And ultimately, if it can get back above this 230, will be a very positive sign for Ethereum. 230, 240 is really the range I'm looking at. For now, I'm not going to do anything with Ethereum. I'm going to kind of just step aside. I have a little bit that I bought here at this 190 during this pullback. I'm going to keep a tight stop on it, and if it looks like it's going to break down further, I'll probably just get out of the way on Ethereum. Taking a look at Litecoin. So here's a 4-hour chart. So I've been talking about this head and shoulders pattern forming on Litecoin here, and you can see it here. So you can see the left shoulder here, you can see the head, and then this little shoulder that's been forming over here recently in the last couple of days, and that pattern continues to develop. You can see it just dropping. What I don't like about Litecoin on the daily charts, see these moving averages. So there's 3 lines on here, and they might be a little tough to see right now, guys, but this blue line is a shorter term 10 EMA, then we have the 30 EMA, and then we have this longer term 50-day moving average. And it has never breached it on a closing basis. We've had these tails, but these are just massive support that comes in. And the shorter term moving averages have never been below the longer term until recently. So look at here, zooming in on these recent days, we're getting this bearish crossover of the moving averages. So the 10 is right at the 50, just crossed below the 30. And if it starts to head down, and right now it looks like it wants to, and Litecoin is just bouncing off this to the downside, that could signal another breakdown on Litecoin. So you could see another leg down. Again, the next couple days are going to be real volatile. It's just really hard to say right now if things are just tightening up. And if we start to rally, then this is all bets are off and we're looking good. So the two areas I'm going to be watching on Litecoin is this most recent shoulder here. This is about $47 USD on Bitfinex, and then these most recent lows here. You're not going to want to see the lows here taken out. So that 37, 38 area is going to be a critical support area to hold. And if we can get above 47, very positive sign for Litecoin, and we could start to see another leg up on Litecoin. Looking at it versus Bitcoin, it's been underperforming significantly. So here again is the daily. I did point out this little double top here a few weeks back, so you can see, excuse me, let me get my drawing tools. You can see a little double top that we saw on Litecoin, and once we broke this little bit of a support area, pretty much been downhill since. And we'll rally occasionally, but we're just bouncing off this moving average and continuing to underperform Bitcoin. So all in all, not bullish on Litecoin, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm going to keep watching the project. I like the project, so just watch these lows, see where I could find a good bottom. And for now, I've already lightened up on Litecoin, so I'm not really heavy on Litecoin right now. So I'm just kind of more watching it to see what it does. Let's take a look at Dash. So here's Dash on the dailies. Again, Dash also forming a little bit of a double top here. And I hate to sound bearish, guys, but I'm just, I always take a look at the markets from a bear perspective and from a bull perspective, meaning if I was shorting this or if I was trying to sell it, would I be selling it here? And then I'll flip sides and say, if I was bullish and I really wanted to pick some up, is this a good place? It's like I kind of take both angles. I look at the chart both ways, and this is a little bit of a double top here. That is a bearish signal if you're aware of these reversal patterns. And so we had this nice pullback, big volume up to the upside, and it's just now starting to give it all up here. It's just now breaking down below these longer term moving averages. So not looking very positive for Dash. If we zoom in a little bit on the 4 hour, you can see we're just kind of stepping our way down. Right now, we had this little bit of a inverted head and shoulders pattern that played out real nice, and it seems to be reversing that. So there was a little bit of a, let me draw it here. So this neckline here is what we broke out of, and once we did, we had a nice move up, and then it had another move up to 220. So that was a good move up from this 160 area, and it looks like we're starting to reverse that now. So you're not going to want to see these recent lows taken out, but most likely they will. It just looks like it's going that way. The momentum's to the downside right now. So I'd be cautious with Dash. Some of the smaller altcoins I've been looking at, I've been talking about EOS. Let's go to the EOS charts. So EOS here, this is EOS versus the USD on the 4 hour chart. Again, I still like EOS here. I'm looking for another breakout. The area to be watching on EOS is this, basically the $2, $2.10 area here. So one of these, this little zone that I'm going to point out here. So that's really the area that I'm watching on EOS. It's strong here. It's kind of wedging up a little bit. It's hit multiple bottoms here. So as long as this most recent low that's forming a little bit of a trend holds, EOS should be looking good. So just keep an eye on this trend here. You don't want to see it break below that, but really the breakout's going to be above this $2, this low $2 area. If we see that breakout, you can have a nice little run on EOS, maybe another 30% run or so. So I'm watching EOS. I do still own a little bit, and I picked some up a couple of days ago here and added some more here on this little pullback. So I'm watching it. Now I know fundamentally long term the project has some headwinds just because they're distributing new coins basically daily, and until we hit max supply, that's just going to be a headwind on the price of EOS, and we're going to need to see some price discovery over the next year. So this is more of a shorter term formation and play that I'm looking at. Now if it continues to go up, then we'll hold it, but for now more of a short to intermediate term play that I'm looking at for EOS. Versus BTC, again, it's held this multiple low several times, so you're going to want to just see this little area hold here in the near term, especially on a closing basis. We could see some spike lows briefly, especially intraday if things get pretty volatile, but for now it's holding this low, so that's what you're going to want to see. And again, the breakout on EOS for the BTC chart is going to be the same this little top we've seen here. So that's going to be basically around 74,000 Satoshi there. And finally, Ant shares. So I've been very bullish on Ant shares, now NEO. And let's zoom out a little bit here on the daily. So we had this massive run up and took it to basically over $10 on the USD. This is on the Bitcoin chart here, but look at this 50-day moving average. It's just pretty much been catching up, and we are right there now. And so Ant shares has just consolidated over the last month or so, and we're basically right here. So it's going to be real interesting to see how it acts as all of these moving averages begin to converge. And it looks like it wants to hold right now, so keep an eye on it. You're not going to want to see Ant shares drop below this most recent low here during the pullback the last couple of days. And really, if you're holding it, the most I'd give it is this low here, which was a pretty solid low a few weeks back. I'd be holding that. I wouldn't let it get below that. So right now, that's forming a little bit of a wedge, a little bit of a trend there. So that's good. And on the upside, if it starts to break out, if it gets above these moving averages and volume starts to come in, you could see a good little run on Ant shares. But just the pattern looks so strong right now. It's just kind of consolidating the big move up. It had a massive move, so it's completely normal to see this sell off and then just kind of flatline and consolidate a little bit. And so I'm liking it. I like the volume patterns. The bigger bars here are green. That's accumulation, and you're seeing it some back here. So far, I'm liking Ant shares. I'm still holding it. But like I said, I'm going to be pretty nimble over these next couple days. I'm going to just take my cues from the market action, and we'll see what happens from there. All around, I'm a little split on the altcoins, right? So Litecoin, Ethereum, Dash, I'm bearish on those. EOS, Ant shares, I'm bullish on those, and a few others. And so it's a split market. Right now, Bitcoin is my biggest position, and I'm going to keep it that way until after the fork. We'll see what happens there. That chart just looks strong, nearing the old highs here, and so we're close to a breakout. But again, anything could happen, and it could just start to sell off. So we'll see what happens over these next couple days, guys. Keep your coins safe. Don't trust all of the exchanges. Remember, if you have wallets, make sure you control the keys to those wallets. So password protect. Just it's a volatile times right now, guys. There's a lot of counterparty risk. So that's probably the main thing right now is be extra precautious with where you store and the exchanges you're using. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say, and that's especially important in the crypto land right now, especially if you have large sums of money and large portfolios. You just kind of want to spread that out a little bit. So that's going to be it for tonight. I might do a video on the coming days, which just kind of depends on how the market acts over the next few days. Until next time, take care.